Uh-oh, I don't have it on. Guess that's why it's not working. All right, today's topic is translating expressions and equations. And I gave you a sheet that has a bunch of different words that are used for the different operations in math. All right. Now, is this an inclusive? Is this an inclusive list? No. There are other terms that are used, but this is a list at least to help you kind of decipher word problems when you have to turn them into use mathematical numbers and operations. All right. So let us. So I gave you this just as a reference. All right, and let's define some terms, which I hope by now we know most of these. A variable is a letter used to represent an unknown number. And I always put example. We use X a lot, A, B, C, Z. Now, when we use Z in algebra, I think I've said this already, but I will remind you, we generally put a line through it, although the typed one won't have a line through it, because when we write, a lot of times a Z can be misinterpreted as a 2. Brandon? Do I need to? Probably. Okay. I wasn't thinking about that. Sorry. Coefficient is the number before the variable. So it coexists. Okay, when you cohabitate, which is something that your parents never want you to do until you're married anyways, you are living with somebody, right? You're coexisting with them, all right? So coefficient, that number is cohabitating next to that variable, and it's telling you how many variables you actually, you're going to multiply that with. Or a fraction is really division, but we will get to that. Okay, it's multiplying. All right. An expression has no equal sign. It usually, if they give you an expression, they will use the term, it is evaluated. It is not solved. It is evaluated. Okay. So the difference between an expression and an equation is an equation contains an equal sign and it is solved. There are some steps that will help you solve word problems in algebra, okay? We always need to define our variable. What I mean by that, you're going to state, let x equal number, this is just an example, of balls. And you want to do it as short as possible that will make sense to you. And how I do it may not make sense. How somebody else does it in the class, they may use a different word. But just so you know, because we're going to start out with one variable, but very quickly you end up with 2 variables. And so you've got to define your variables and what they mean, okay? Write an expression for each side of the equation. Solve your equation, check your solution, and make sure you have answered the question. This is one thing that I think that we do. I know in younger grades you're taught to underline. Please do not underline in questions. You need to learn to pull out only the important information. So here I might put a question mark and I might say number of balls or number balls, just to remind me that's what I was looking for. That's what my question is, okay? If you underline, you tend to underline too many words, too many things. Have you guys figured that out yet? And I know English teachers underline this, highlight this, but you highlight almost the whole paragraph by the time you're done is highlighted or underlined. And was the whole paragraph really important? No. Okay? So you want to it's very much, I can teach you very much easier if you learn to pull out, because you don't want to write more than you have to write. Am I correct? Most of you. You want to write in shorthand. You want to write a short little thing, whatever it is. You just don't. So I find that this strategy works better. So what we're going to look at is 2 times a number decreased by 3 is 5. Okay? So what I see, and I'm just going to do this here because this is not the word problem situation up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I've got the number 2, and I'm going to write it underneath it. Times a number. This is your variable right there. Okay? So if I wanted to define it, I'd say let x equal number. Okay, the number. All right, so then I'm going to put an X there, though. I'm just going to try and write out exactly what it says here. Decreased. What does decreased mean? Subtract by 3. What does the word is mean? Equals. So here's your equal sign and 5. So I've pretty much written out my whole equation, haven't I? So I have, and yeah, this one's pretty simple. 2 times x. How do I represent that in algebra? 2x, and I could use an n, okay, whatever you want to use, decreased by 3, okay, is 5. So that's pretty simple. Add 3 to both sides. I know that 2x is equal to 8. Divide by 2, and I would end up with x is equal to 4. Do you agree? Now, check it. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to say 2 times 4 minus 3 is equal to 5. I get 8 minus 3 is equal to 5. I get 5 is equal to 5, and it checks. Okay? All right. Translate and solve the following. The sum, what does the word sum mean? What operation? Add. So I'm going to put a plus sign there. Of twice a number. So how am I going to represent twice a number? 2x, 2n. Let's just use n since it's a number and that has a nice little ring to it. N is a variable. Okay? And what does and mean? Adding. 9 is what? 43. Okay, so these aren't as bad as they appear. So do I need this plus sign? No, what it was just telling me is that I'm going to combine these, correct? So I'm just going to write 2n plus 9 is 43. Subtract 9. I get 2n is equal to 43 minus 9 is 34. Divide both sides by 2, and I would find that n is equal to 17. Now I'm skipping showing that dividing by step. I need you guys to show it. I'm just running out of room, and that's why you'll do your work on paper. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to do a check. 2n plus 9 is equal to 43. 2 times 17 plus 9 is equal to 43. 34 plus 9 is equal to 43. And 43 is equal to 43. Okay? I won't always make you do a check, but I want you to build the habit of how you can do a check. I would suggest that always on an assessment, if you can, to do a check, because then that's a way you can check yourself, if that makes any sense. Okay. All right. 8 less than. Okay, this is a tricky thing right here. Okay, when you have greater than or less than, and what I would like to do is come over to this sheet and write less than, and over here I guess I'll write greater than. Okay, when it says 8 less than, okay, 1/2 of a number, okay, when it says less than, this number is always going to come after the variable, all right? So, number comes, and you'll see what I mean by this, after variable. If it said 8 less a number, can you see how when I say 8 less a number, you would have 8 minus that number? When it says 8 less than a number, okay? A number, less than a number. Let's do it that way. Okay, we'll add that part on it. So it's the language, and so that helps you with the order that you need things. Greater than a number. Same thing for greater than. Number comes after variable. Okay? All right, number comes after variable. So when it says here, I'll let you guys get caught up here for a sec. When it says I've got 8 less than 1/2 of, what is the, it really 1/2 a number, that means you are what operation is going on here? You're multiplying. 1/2 a number. It really could say 1/2 of a number, okay? But they've left the word of out. Of means to multiply, okay? Is 2. Now, this means that this less than has to be 1/2 and 8 less than a number. Do you see how it lines up? Okay? 8 less than a number. Okay? It's not 8 less a number. All right? It's 8 less than a number. So it's going to be less than your number that you get. Okay? Is equal to 2. All right. I told you to establish a pattern, didn't I? Okay? So let's multiply everything by 2. It doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you get rid of your fraction at some point. I mean, I could have added 8 to both sides. This one's pretty simple, but I would get 1n, and I would get minus 16 is equal to 4. Add 16 to both sides, and I find out that n is equal to 20. Okay? So now to do a check, all I would have to do is 1/2 times 20 minus 8 is equal to 2. And I get 1/2 times 20 gives you what? 10 minus 8 is equal to 2. And we know that 2 does equal 2. And so we've checked. Okay? All right, let's flip them over. A baseball bat and 8 baseballs cost $163.25. The bat costs $106.45. What is the cost of the baseball? So, first question. Cost of ball. One ball. Okay? Uh-oh, you can't see. Sorry. All right. So, here we go with this stupid double cameras. Okay? Alright, so, what do we know? A bat costs how much? $106.45. Okay? And the total was what? $163.25. So we know how much, and they only got one bat, right? Because up here it tells me a bat plus 8 balls equal $163.25, doesn't it? That's what that sentence up there says. Okay? So, if I need to set this up, let B equal what? What am I going to let B equal? Cost a ball. Cost one ball. And you see, I've kind of pulled everything out of there, set it up, so now it's really easy to do. I've got a bat. How much is a bat? $106.45 plus 8 times, what am I going to use for balls? The cost of balls. B is equal to $163.25. Okay. Subtract $106.45 from both sides. 8 balls equal, let's see, I gotta borrow and carry here. 3, 2, 12 would be 8. And I've got to borrow 12, 6, 5. $56.80 would be the cost for 8 balls. But I need to know the cost for 1 ball. So divide by 8. And B is equal to, and I've got 56.80 divided by 8. 7 times is 56, right? All right, and I've got 8, and 8 goes into 8 one time, 0, so B is equal to $7.10 for 1 ball. Okay, and how would I go back and do my check? I would just substitute it in for B, correct? And I could do 8 times 7, 10, and I would find out that it's 56.80. I would add that to this to make sure that it comes out to $163.25. Okay? Hugo received $100 for his birthday. He then saved $20 per week. Ooh, what does that word per mean? Does everybody know? What operation is per? Multiplication. So, and that's one way to always to identify a variable, because you have $20 per week, don't you? Until he had a total of $460 to buy a printer. How many weeks does it take to have him to save for the money? All right, so the question is number of weeks. And you'll get really good at shorthand in this, all right? All right, what did he start with? 100. Okay. How much is he going to save? $20 per week, right? So, what is our variable? Number of weeks. Okay. So, let W equal number of weeks. Okay? If you can figure these out in your head, that's great. But the whole process of this is for you to come up with that algebraic equation and do it algebraically. Okay? Some of you could probably go, okay, 100, take away that from 3, and that would be 360, and 20 goes into 360. How many times? And you could come up with the number of weeks just in your head. But the process is for you to start setting up algebraic equations based on word problems, okay? Not to, yes, we have you practice getting the answers algebraically, but the real meat of this is for you to start being able to right algebraic equations. All right. So I've got $100. He got $100. He's also going to save $20 per week, and his total is $460. I guess I should have put total means equal, right? I could have listed my total. So subtract 100, and you see I just told you this mental math. You could have done this. It's equal to 360. 20 goes into 360, and we've got W is equal to 18 weeks. And you need to identify what your answer is, not just put 18, okay? I guess I should have put per ball up here, okay? So realize I don't want just an answer. I want an algebraic equation, okay? All right, last two. A health club charges $50 initial fee plus. So we have a one-time fee plus $2 for each. What is for each? What does that mean as an operation? Multiply, okay? So right now I'm looking at I got a $50 and I got a plus sign and I got 2 and I'm multiplying times each visit, aren't I? You see how I can kind of pull that. Moselle has spent a total means equals, of $144 at the health club this year. How many visits has she made? I mean, these are very, very simple. All right, so my question is number of visits. How many visits has she made? I've got an initial fee, 50. I've got $2 per visit. I've got total 144. So I'm going to let V equal number of visits. Okay? So I'm just going to write it like it looks here. 50 plus 2V is equal to 144. Going too fast? You need to tell me if I do, okay? All right, subtract 50. 2V is equal to 94. Divide by 2. V is equal to 47 visits. And I could go back in and check it. Okay. She has made 47 visits this year. Once a week almost, right? Right, if it was a whole year. All right, one more. Raymond buys bottles of water at $2.10. So bottles of water are $2.10 each. Ooh, look at that word. Wonder what that's going to mean. And I know that's going to mean a plus a large pizza at $12.99. The total cost was $21.39. How many bottles? Okay, there's our question. So our question is number of bottles. We know that one bottle is how much? $2.10. We know that a pizza, you got a pizza for $12.99. We know that the total is $21.39. Let B be what your question is. Number of bottles. So then when we have that, we know very easily that each bottle is $2.10. We don't know how many bottles, and that each meant we were going to multiply, weren't we? $2.10 by something. And it ended up being B, number of bottles. So it's not always right in order, but it's close. And we had $12.99 spent on a pizza, and our total cost was $21.39. So subtract $12.99 from both sides. 210b is equal to, all right, I got a 0. 13 minus 9 is going to give me 4. This would have been made a 0, so now I've got 10 minus 1, no, 10 minus 2, right, is 8. And here's my decimal point, and then 1 minus 1 is 0, so he spent $8.40 on bottles. So then I would come over here, 840 divided by 2, 10. Move this over, and I would get 4, wouldn't I? So my answer is B is equal to 4 when I did that division. Because I could just knock these zeros off, actually, and just come right over here, and 21 goes into 84 4 times. Okay? So 4 bottles of water is what he bought. Okay? All right. Translate and solve the following. Only an algebraic solution will be accepted. What does that mean? You can't do it in your head. Okay? All right, I'm gonna show you the spiral on the back because you guys haven't learned this because you haven't been in 8th grade math. Yeah, but we haven't gotten to this part, and we need to get to this part before probably we moving on. I need to come up and remind Miss Moon because this is something that y'all need to get a calculator, okay? And although I've made people in the past do it without a calculator, I'm gonna let you guys use a calculator. We're gonna teach you, okay? Okay, and I should probably challenge you and make you do it without a calculator because that would probably be the best way to go to see where your skill levels are at. But we'll go ahead and teach. Okay, first off, you can't put this all in the calculator and do it in one step. You won't get it right. Okay, there's no way, well, there is, but it would be so complicated I would never show you. So my suggestion is that you do it like this, okay? Parentheses, 4, take away 6, parentheses, and then go to the power of 2, all right, and hit enter. And I get 4, right? Remember PEMDAS, parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication and division, all right? Then I would do 24 divided by 2, which is 12, correct? Okay. And then, so that's 4/12, and you would simplify that to 1/3, wouldn't you? Okay? Make sense? Okay. I guess the main thing I want to show you, you do have brackets on here. If you notice, they're in blue. Okay, so if you were to do this and do it as a problem, you would have to do 3 second bracket, 5 subtract parentheses 3 plus 6 parentheses, and then second bracket. You'd have to put it in there just like it looks, and then you would hit enter. If I did it, it gives you -12. Okay, as an answer. If I did it, I would have to do the inside here. So I would do 3, 5 minus, and you would have 9, right? Okay. Then you would do the 5 minus 9, and you would have 3 times -4, and that is how we got the -12. Okay. Inside brackets, then out. The inside, and then you move out. So you have to follow PEMDAS. Fractions. Okay, whenever you're dealing with fractions, you have got to put fractions in parentheses in these calculators. it works sometimes and it doesn't. So if I was doing this problem right here, I would end up using brackets for where they have parentheses. And if I was using the calculator, and I would put this in a parentheses, this in a parentheses, a bracket, and then an exponent. So I'll show you, if I was going to do this in the calculator, I would do this step right here. And I would do, okay, I know I'm going to have 4. I probably would leave the 4, and I would do second bracket, parenthesis, 1 divided by 3, parenthesis, subtract, parenthesis, 2 divided by 3, parentheses, second bracket, and then I would do x squared, which is my power of 2, and I would hit enter. Look at that sucker, huh? Then I take that and I would multiply it times 4. Okay? Then I would take that answer and divide it by parentheses, 5 divided by 9 parentheses, and what do I get? So, sometimes it's easier to use a calculator, and sometimes it's easier to use your little brain, because if you have the common denominator here, and you're subtracting, so you really have a negative 1/3 in there, don't you? Okay, because it's 1/3 subtract 2/3, so you have a negative 1/3 times a negative 1/3 would give you what? Negative 1/3, because you're doing your exponent next. Negative 1/3 times negative 1/3, it gives you what? Let's do it this way. Okay, let's do this. Okay, you've got 4 times, and I probably should be showing this on the video. You've got a bracket, then you've got then you have 1/3, right? Subtract 2/3. Isn't that what's inside? Okay, and then you have it squared, correct? All right. Then you have subtract what? Is it divided by or subtract? Divided by 5/9. Okay. To do this manually, you would take care of this. So you have 4 times. Well, this is going to give you a negative 1/3 squared divided by 5/9. I'm following PEMDAS. That means I have to do a negative 1/3 times a negative 1/3, because that's what this means. I would get a positive 1, what? 9. Okay? So 4 times 1/9 divided by 5/9. Okay? So then multiplication and division left to right, correct? So 4 times 1/9 would be 4/9, correct? Let's see if I'm going to come out with the right answer. Divided by 5/9, that's 4/9 times 9 over 5, is equal to 36 over, I'm not coming out with the right answer, 45. Lord have mercy. 1/9. Negative 1/3. Negative 1/3 squared is definitely 1/9. 1/9 is 4/9. I don't know where I went wrong. Somewhere. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out and show you on Monday. What? The answer to the, well, according to the calculator, it's 4, but according to this, I'll figure out which way it is, because I may have done it wrong in the calculator. It's 36 over 45. And I don't think that can that be simplified to 1/8? 5, no.
I got 0.8.
You got 0.8. Is 36 divided by 45.8? Put that in the calculator. It might be. Is it 0.8?
It's 0.8.
Okay. So then, there we go. That's how you'd have to solve it if you were doing it. That's homework. Yes, sir. Love ya. Love ya, love ya, love ya. Remember, we're starting out behind, okay? But they had homework almost every weekend last year anyways. You should know that, sir. Your sister was here. I need to talk to her anyways. Why is this not?
I'm sad that you left early yesterday, Miss Boyce.
Why?
Because I went to come turn in homework. But I forgot.
Then all you have to do that when that